the clap, or are you doing the clap?
Yeah, I got to do the clap, but I've got to do the clap in both our mics. So can you hold both? Yeah, let's get a 3-way clap. Here we go.
Oh, that was
Holy shit! Look at that
the fuck out of
swerve.
the mics.
Brady, I'd just like to apologise for A, that, and B, the fact that I'm making you mix 3 mics.
Sorry, brother. Yeah, it was a bit of...
Actually, no. Why am I apologising? It's fucking pricey. It's all
Yeah, it's
pricey.
Pricey's
my
fault.
bad.
Let's have
Absolutely
a
my
little
bad.
let's have a little fuck Pricey corner, shall we?
Hey.
Yeah.
No,
Not literally. Come on.
No. We love him. He's a bit of a punish, but we love him.
We were comparing him to Kramer before.
Yeah.
Just the bringer of chaos around
I'll
here.
take it.
Yeah.
Well, shall I intro then? So since there's a third voice here, guys, and we'll take the heat off Pricey. So I was having a bit of a busy day today, and Pricey said, "Hey, why don't we have a guest tonight?" So we've had to do the whip around to get some extra mics and shit, but it's all right. We love him. Yeah. So this is well, I'll let you introduce yourself.
I do. Really? Okay, sure. You can tell there's been a lot of prep done, and I totally did painstaking amounts of preparation for this. But yeah, so I'm Jimmy Harden. I was actually thinking about this on the way over. Most of the time when you introduce me, you still introduce me as from Guards of May, and I'm like, man,
Baby, that was years ago.
That's been 6 years.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot. I know, man. Time
It
flew. But I'm like, yeah, it's been 6 years. So who am I now? I don't know, just a concerned citizen coming in.
Are you the neighbourhood watch?
Probably.
I've heard some dickheads laughing in that house up there, and we're going to go up and see what's going on.
No, maybe they're just listening to this ahead of time as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway.
That's very flattering of our podcast. Trust me. To think that there are people outside of our circle that have possibly heard a single word.
It's like the Today Show. We got people out like the other side of the glass with signs and stuff. And yeah.
Oh God.
Anyway. Anyway, just yet another friend I'm sure is going to... Others will begin to be cycled through. I'll be the first. I'll be the awkward one.
I love it. And like you are the third member of like our real life sort of get together chat group, which is a chat, and a chat.
A chat, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which it's a minimum 3 hour.
Oh yeah. Easily.
Well, I was supposed to meet up with you guys the other morning for a breakfast, and I told my missus I'd be out for an hour flat, and we were out for like 2.5.
Keep going. I thought you didn't get back till like midday.
Oh yeah, it was pretty. Yeah.
It was full on. Yeah, it would change.
So you guys just said that you are across Squid Game.
He's also across.
Yes.
I'm not. I'm across Squid Game, memes wise.
Yeah.
I've seen what I've seen of it purely through memes.
You've got me at a disadvantage then because I haven't seen any of the memes for it. So go figure.
Well, I guess I'm the piggy in the middle then, because I was seeing the memes and I was like, I don't want the memes to get ahead of my enjoyment of the show. Right. So I started watching it off the back of the memes pushing me to get in front of them.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Cool.
Well, I mean, there's nothing worse than like Game of Thrones as an example. When the last couple seasons there, I was doing week by week, I was all caught up with it. And so if you don't watch the episode on the night that it's released, the next 24 hours on Reddit, you just have to stay off all social media. Otherwise, the memes ruin everything for you. So, yeah. So Squid Game, I've seen some shit come up and I'm just like, nah, fuck, I gotta watch this. So that's what I did between naps on Saturday.
So what I do know of the show is that it's a Korean show.
Yes.
And it is subtitled rather than dubbed, and a lot of people are pretty happy about that it's subtitled, except that the subtitles are not very accurate, I've heard.
Really?
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of Korean people saying that like it's not even close.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like that it's very like either inaccurate or or a lot of like contextual like Korean context is lost. Like in terms of like the humor.
I feel like that would happen a lot though. I feel like that would happen a lot. Like if you're translating between languages, like if there's something.
Obviously, there's better jobs than others that are done.
That's true.
Apparently, the criticism is it's not even close.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because when we first started watching it, I knew going into it that there was a lot of praise from like Bong Joon-ho, the guy who does the Parasite.
Oh, that one, right. Yeah.
Parasite.
Okay.
So the guy who did Parasite, he like put a thing up on Twitter or whatever to say like, you know, finally where this is another step in breaking down the barrier between, you know, like Korea and the West in terms of getting over this hurdle that is subtitles.
So wait, is it South Korean or North Korean?
Sure,
it's South.
No, it's South Korea.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Nothing goes in or out of South.
Without
North.
any spoilers, like there's a North Korean character in this specific, so it's kind of like there's a representation of that in it. So I would say it's South Korean.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
And so the basis of the show being it's essentially like Hunger Games, but with like kids, like games that they'd play, you know, the equivalent of like say hopscotch or whatever, or you know Red Rover, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I read an Australian meme that was very much like play handball for your life.
That would be totally accurate.
Yeah,
and that'd be really cool. Can we do a concept for that? Like,
I don't think I'd be any good at that anymore.
No,
I remember like grade 4 me thinking, I am the gun at handball. I am so good at handball.
I am handball.
And I think, I am become handball destroyer of ace. But I look back at it now and I think like, not only do I not really remember how to play, at least the way that we played when we were in grade 4, but I look back at it now and I'm like, I don't see how anyone can actually be really good at this game.
There's always different rules, different schools you go to as well. There's variations on the. It's hard to keep up with, man. Like
That's what I mean. It feels like a lot of shifting goalposts depending on who you're playing with.
So is what you're trying to say is that we need like some sort of association to just like standardize it and be like, right, this is how we're all playing handball from now on. That's it.
How much did it trip you out?
And then you can make an Olympic sport.
I was going to say, I like where you're going with that. But how much did it trip you out actually watching Olympic handball compared to like high school handball?
I didn't watch.
Full disclosure, I didn't watch Olympic handball at all.
It's like, look, I don't remember it very much. I just remember the click in my head. I watched, a couple of minutes of it on TV one time, and I was just like,
it's a different game.
Like, what are we playing? Like,
it's a totally different game.
Did we think we were playing like proper handball, or is this just that they've pillaged the name but made it different?
Or did we just make it up because we happened to have a tennis ball and there were some lines on the ground?
Yeah, really is born out of boredom.
Yeah.
I remember our court was just outside the tuck shop at our primary school. It was just the way the concrete had cracked over time, and so that like the A square was maybe a foot square, and then all the other squares were like some sort of weird jagged shape, and nothing actually made any sense. So.
At my school, where the handball arena was,
you had an arena.
Oh, it looked like an arena. But it was
come one, come all.
I was gonna be like,
but it wasn't even flat. It like went like the pavers that it was on were all affected by like the roots of the tree and it went sort of down into this big dip and
it's just interference. It's fine.
It was.
You learn to play to your conditions.
This is like I don't
know if either of you played cricket, but it's like playing on either like a concrete wicket or like as soon as you go to play on turf, it's just like, what is this? Like nothing works anymore. The ball just literally goes wherever the hell it wants, and you're like, I can't play under these conditions.
Hard mode activated.
Hard mode activated.
I actually have a school cricket story. So I play golf. I play golf and cricket left-handed. Everything else right-handed. Tennis right-handed.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I kick a football right-handed. The whole thing. Right side of my body.
I'm glad you clarified.
But golf and cricket are left-handed, and I blame the opposition because like we're playing school cricket, right? So like the other team's coach is just like someone's dad. It's not, and so
is that on the back of his jersey? It's just someone's dad.
Old Smithy's dad.
Yeah.
So I'm facing up, right? And they've come to bowl to me, but like old mate hasn't switched the fielders, so he's left this dude at like silly mid on, like right there, and so it's bowled down to me, and like you don't know, like I don't know, I was 10. I was just stoked to make contact with the ball and hit it. I wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna pull the shot that way, or I'm gonna like. It was just like, I'm going to deal with however this ball comes to me, and if I make contact with it, rad.
Did you kill a guy or?
I didn't, but I knocked this kid's fucking teeth out.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. I just pulled it and just went bang and like just smashed his teeth out. He left the opposition coach left a fielder right there.
Oh.
That's that's on them.
Yeah.
But also the guy just standing there just never thought for a second. I mean, I know you're in school.
And also no helmet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that wouldn't
obvious.
Like, that wouldn't fly these days. That
No,
would be so
God,
not okay.
God, no. So this was 94. Yeah. So like it's and it's
Bad old days.
yeah, but like everyone did acknowledge like not your fault. Like you just played the ball as it came to you. Like you weren't thinking about like that kid's safety when you hit it. Like but like we had a coach. Like our coach was an actual cricket player, so like he kind of knew what he was doing. But he was like back sitting over there like with our team. He wasn't sitting there going like, "Hey, you should probably like switch the fielders based on like that he's now like you should flip the field."
Yeah, just no. But classic case of all the adults being like, "Oh, that'll be fine. No worries. Whatever happens, they'll pick themselves up and dust themselves off."
This kid like had to call an ambulance. This dude's just like his white shirt was just like crimson with blood. I don't know how many teeth I took out, but they were gone, man.
All right, so my entire AFL career.
Oh, here we go.
All right, it was over in about 30 seconds. So they had the Aussie rules for life or whatever like that came to school.
Did you play for Bits?
I didn't play for anyone ever.
Oh, okay.
What they came to? They
Bits
came
mean Boyne Island, Tatham Sands.
Yeah.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Play for whose bits? Whose bits are we playing for? It's primary school. Jesus.
Okay.
So this like club, they're trying to spread the word of the AFL through Queensland, right? So they're going around all these primary schools at the time in the 90s, and like for your phys ed class, Auskick, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And so they come around and they just set you all up, and then we go, we're going to play this game. So they gave us like a brief explanation how it all works. Let's just get started and we'll work it out as we go on, sort of thing. And they bounce the ball. Yeah. And so I'm standing there ready, and the guy on the other side standing there ready, and they bounce the ball straight in my face. It didn't break my nose, but it tried really hard. It tried a lot. Piss blood everywhere, straight to like sick bay, and then the next time they came around, they asked, "Do you want to play?" I went, "No."
Oh wow! Didn't even get past the bounce.
Nah, mate. Well, I was the kid in school because I was like pretty big compared to the other kids. They're all like, "You should play football." So every year I get hassled about playing footy, and especially after that, I was just like, "No." Just no. I'm going to get hurt. I don't care. I heard Conan O'Brien said the other day he was talking about basketball. Big, tall motherfucker always gets told, you'd be a great basketball player. And he's like, the problem I have with basketball is I think that you have to care about basketball to be good at it. He's like, I don't care where the ball is at any given time. And I think that's a pretty important part of the game.
Yeah, I think with any sport, you really need to want to put your body on the line. And I've never really found...
Lawn bowls?
Oh, there's plenty of... I've talked to a lot of old blokes. A lot of old blokes with bung knees that like they put their knees on the line.
I imagine you get a good hammy stretch out of that doing that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go.
At least consistently. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, what's your war story? Surely you've got one.
Do I have a war story?
Did you play any like whack sports? Were you like a field hockey guy or something like that?
Actually, no. That would be whack.
Yeah.
No, or like maybe ice hockey in Roma, like in Western Queensland.
You played ice hockey?
No.
Oh, right.
I'm saying that would be whack.
Yeah, that would be whack. Yeah.
I don't even think I even saw an ice rink until I was probably like 15.
Same.
No, I played
just
like...
the cold room at the local pub.
Scared me out and stuff. I pretty much played soccer. I think I kind of eyed up playing football, and then because it was league, obviously it was like Western Queensland League, that was like a massive thing. AFL was never really a thing.
Same. Yeah.
And I'm pretty certain my mum was like, insane on that. So I pretty much played soccer like all the way through like my childhood, and then pretty much into high school as well.
Yeah,
and then picked up cricket.
Were you pretty good at it, or you?
No, not really.
Okay.
I don't really have the build for
Better
it.
at cricket?
Yeah, and I think I enjoyed it more.
Struck me as a bowler.
No.
Okay.
No.
Wrong.
He was a catcher.
Didn't even call it.
If I hadn't known that they have had no prep, I would have expected that to be a setup. No. More of a batsman.
Okay.
More of a batsman. Like seasoned D's player, like, but enjoyed it.
That's about the level of every sport I've ever played too,
D
grade, C grade.
But it was fun. Like that was the thing. It was always good fun. And, like D's was especially fun because just everyone was there just having fun with it, and no one really. Like there was not like a heap of competitive pressure. Like if you lost or if the other team was better, you're just like, oh, whatever. Like
I have always been on whatever team I've played all sorts of sports over the years. Played like beach volleyball and like touch footy and all that sort of stuff. And it's always been like the real low grades. You play D grade or whatever, and like your team's like all right enough that you kind of like dominate D grade, but then like the second they go, look guys, you kind of we got to bump you up to C. And then they put you up and you just get demolished. You're like, you're too good for D, nowhere near good enough for C.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, fucking hell, this is no fun anymore.
There's no in between. You need to go into like D+ grade or something. There needs to be like a step in between, or at least where you get a bit of a taste, where you get like the off season C grade when you've been training the whole time.
What I found out is a lot of like the sort of A grade players or whatever would like. There'd be one or two of them that'd just like that'd be their social game for the week. And they'd just play C grade or whatever, and then just come down just to get like a run in. And
Disappointed.
Like, and they would just like run around.
Like seeing like a test player come and play like grade cricket.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah. He's like, I had a couple of hours spare.
I was bored.
Yeah.
This is nothing like the Mighty Ducks. We're supposed to be fucking caning right now. Where's my underdog moment? Yeah.
I actually watched the like.
I suppose we should probably actually get to the new Mighty Ducks series that they put out on Disney Plus.
Right, it has Emilio Estevez in it.
Yeah, right? He's now like a burnt out, like he owns an old ice rink and just like hates hockey, doesn't want anything to do with it. And
is it kind of like the Cobra Kai? Like they're trying to take it from the point of view of
yes,
like a
except like far more for kids.
Oh,
like it's aimed at like the same. You know what age were you when Mighty Ducks came out? You were like 5, 6.
Yeah, bang on. Yep.
This one's still aimed at 5, 6. This isn't for us growing up watching it now. Like I got through it. It's hard being 38 watching a G-rated show. You're like,
well, because there's nothing
for me. Yeah.
But what I mean by Cobra Kai,
I kind of liked it, but it was it is a G-rated.
Did they kind of try to? Because to be honest, I don't remember much of the Mighty Ducks other than just the general idea of the Mighty Ducks. Yeah. But was when he was coaching in the Mighty Ducks, was the idea that he didn't want to do it, but he was doing it because he had to?
No. He was like injured. He got like cut from the team,
right? From
like the Olympic team and the Mighty Ducks team and whatever it was, and then he went and coached instead, and then he picked up this like sort of ragtag team and made them champions.
Right. So that what I mean by the Cobra Kai thing then is what I understand with Cobra Kai was it was all about like the Karate Kid and then the guy from Cobra Kai was like the bad guy. Yeah. But what they've done with this series is they've sort of flipped it and made it that like he's the protagonist of the new show. Is the idea with the Mighty Ducks thing that they're kind of flipping the state of the characters and making him like, I don't want to do this thing, and that you're seeing him take like the reverse journey? Sort of, because he left the Mighty Ducks franchise because like they became really corporate and really like everything that it wasn't when he picked it up. Right. And so he left that, and that's why he's like real burnt on it. He doesn't want anything to do with it anymore. He just likes having, people come and skate on his ice rink, and he's like, there's signs everywhere saying like no hockey, like stuff like that. Oh, great Mercier once he used to be. And so, he's like, and he's, the bills aren't paid and all of that sort of stuff. So in the end, he has to kind of accept them using his ice rink as their home team, right? As their home rink, and he basically like, just by being around it, he's like, you have to have your own coach, so I'm not coaching you. Like you can give up on that idea.
and then like just by being around it, he kind of like
Gets back into
he
it.
comes around and like falls in love with one of the kids' mothers, and
Of course.
yeah,
It's sort of like
has to be
you
some
can't.
sort of love interest there somewhere.
Yeah, there always has to be.
Otherwise,
right?
it'd be too G-rated and Pricey get bored.
It's kind of upsetting when they shoehorn a love interest though into something that like probably doesn't need one.
it.
It's just like it's just time for the love interest.
Don't you know it's really obvious too when you're watching your show and you're like, really?
It's like they wrote the show and then they got a note that said love interest, and they went, okay, cool. Let's just like cut and shut it. Let's just take what we've already done and just open up like a space for a scene and just jam one in there.
I swear half the time you can pick it too, because you'll just be looking at it or watching it and you're just like, this is gonna happen. Yeah, this is gonna happen. And then you get about another 6 episodes and you're like, oh, there we go.
Yeah, it's kind of like taking like a family photo and then just fucking taping a head over someone that you don't want in the family photo. Like it just doesn't. It feels like, oh, this doesn't look like what it was supposed to be.
But I mean, getting back to the Cobra Kai thing, like that entire show. I mean, YouTube kicked it off and then Netflix bought it, but that whole thing came from just like a meme video that someone made a bunch of years ago that like just like took scenes out of context and just the theory being that like Daniel-san was the villain of the piece.
Some of my favourite things are fan edits that tell
the
stories.
It was just like, have a look at it this way. Like he came along and stole Johnny's girlfriend and he kicked sand in that guy's face and like did and then he was like, and then comes along Mr. Miyagi, like this old guy should know better. What a bully, and so that kind of gained a bit of an internet popularity, and it sort of inspired them to go
its way into reality.
Very much, yeah. And they were like, it kind of came about in this sort of like, what if Johnny was the hero of the piece really?
Yeah.
And then so they're like, well, let's see things from his perspective.
I mean, Karate Kid was a little bit before me as well. I've seen the 12-Foot Ninja guys. They really like lean in. They really love that sort of that whole era and stuff. And they've done like Karate Kid jokes in the past. But like I saw that come up and I know just enough of the vague details to see what they did there and was like, good on you. But it doesn't mean anything for me, to be honest. And I think that's probably why it moved from YouTube to Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Because YouTube wasn't really the audience for it, I don't think.
I mean, I was watching it over there, but it needed a bit more budget.
Yeah.
Really. Like, it was doing okay.
Well, either of you guys actually watch, apart from that, either of you guys actually watch any of the YouTube original TV shows?
No, not at all.
You're not missing much, man.
Okay, well, I feel so much better now.
They've put some big effort into them, and they don't hit. Especially the ones that are, like, primarily YouTubers in the first place. They're for the audience and, obviously not really stuff that we're familiar with in the first place. But then they did, like, some of their own actual original like sci-fi stuff, like Weird City. Have you seen Weird City advertised a bunch? No. It was Michael Cera and Ed O'Neill from Married with Children. Yeah, Ed O'Neill, isn't it? Yeah. And so it was an anthology.
Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
Al Bundy.
Yeah.
Ted Bundy.
Oh no, wait. No, sorry. It wasn't Michael Cera. It was the guy from, I think it was like.
There's two people that neither of which you mentioned.
No, guy from Maze Runner. Anyway, the point of it was like an anthology series. So every episode was a different story being told in this like sci-fi city where there's the line in the middle. So there's the rich side and the poor side, and you have to cross through the line to get from one side to the other. And every story was different, but the one that I watched was this young dude and this old dude are both going onto this like soulmate app to find their soulmate, and it like mathematically works out of everyone catalogued in the whole city who your soulmate is. And it just so happened that these two dudes who were not like gay like outwardly in the first place, but just these two dudes got matched as soulmates, and so they met up. And they're like, this is kind of weird, like, this is wrong, like, you're an old man and I'm a young man and this doesn't make any sense, and blah, blah, blah. And then over the half-hour thing, they sort of start to realise that, well, actually, maybe, like, I really like you.
In common,
and blah, blah, blah. And it was a cool concept, but the problem was it was in the wrong fucking place.
Yeah.
YouTube was trying to make content to drag people in for that stuff, and I commend them for trying. But, like, I don't go to YouTube to watch TV series.
Well, this is the other thing, too. YouTube has that history of like just really trying to get you on board, Like,
yeah.
You know, every couple of days when you log into YouTube to watch a music video clip or something like that, it's like, hey, would you like to try premium?
Yeah.
It's like, nah, I wouldn't. Also, your ads really annoy me, but I'm still not going to sign up to premium.
My housemate literally has like a thing where at the moment where he's just like, I am not fucking signing up to that.
No.
I'm like, dude, you watch more YouTube videos than just about anyone else I know. And he's like, I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm not signing up to it. On principle.
I think that that's the barrier that they've got. They've always at least felt like a free platform.
Yeah.
So it's like, if it's not free, but meanwhile we're more than willing to like go and whop down $10 a month for all these other ones.
Mm-hmm.
$10. Whichever. You know, a lot of them start out at like $10 a month, and then creep up those motherfuckers.
I have a fucking horse in this race.
Well, here we go.
I want to tell you, I have a motherfucking horse in this race. The amount of shit that I cop for having a YouTube premium. I'm the guy. You found
You're one
me.
of two people.
I'm the one person.
One of two people I know.
Yeah, you fucking found me, you motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And for every single person that I talk to that's like, why would you fucking pay for YouTube? It's like same reason I pay for Spotify. It's just ads annoy the fuck out of me. It's everything that I want to consume anyway. Why shouldn't I pay for it? And I know that there's, you know, Spotify, you're only fucking paying a little bit and the artists get fuck all, blah, blah, blah.
He's also should add a disclaimer because, you know, this is going on YouTube and all. But
I mean, yeah. Hashtag not an ad. I mean, yeah, for all those people out there that are watching this and posting it around and saying, what's this
and
guy
calling
on
us shills.
What can I say? I hail to corporate. That's me.
No, that's fine. And look, from that perspective, I completely understand because you know you use it every day. Like I mean, how many I don't know if you've actually even discussed it. How many hours a day, week? How many hours a week would you say you like watch YouTube? Now I'm outing him.
I'm on a lot because I have to.
Yeah, but I know you have to be, but I mean, I don't. Like I'm barely on it. I must.
I would say, and this is the thing that you're gonna laugh at me for, but I listen to podcasts on YouTube at work.
Oh no, you did mention this. That's right.
And the reason I do that, right, is a lot of the podcasts I listen to do like clips and stuff, or they open mail and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm at work all day and I've got my phone in my pocket with my YouTube premium subscription letting me lock my fucking phone so I can listen to a video without having my screen
That's
open.
their one attempt to be like, how much can we shit them with this stupid feature before they'll pay for it?
But that works though.
Yeah.
That
YouTube
works. That's
has
like the last.
features.
It's like the straw on the camel, man. It's like the last little thing where you're just like, oh fuck it, okay, I'm
Yeah.
done. I'll buy it. Fine.
You know, before they had YouTube Premium, I downloaded a different YouTube app, like a third-party YouTube app, just so I could lock my screen. Yeah, I had that for a couple of years.
Whoa.
Yeah, and a few of my mates did too. So
Did
you
the
could
app
put on YouTube
end
and
up
lock
just
your phone.
becoming
Obsolete.
obsolete?
Yeah, sure.
As soon as YouTube Premium became a thing and they told me, hey, we have 3 features, we're going to make you pay fucking $15 a month for 3 features. And I went, I want all 3 of those features in my mouth right now. Give them...
Okay, Jesus. You're a real simp for
Mate,
YouTube, aren't you?
You know what it is too? Is it's like I really like YouTube Premium, and then the amount of shit that I get for liking YouTube
So you want to
Premium
reinforce your
fucking
position?
fires me up. It gets me so indignant about it.
Like that's the thing though. Like for your use case, I totally understand that because like that's like your version of talkback radio almost.
Yeah,
So it's like that's what that's what you throw on in your metaphorical truck while you go and work. Like you know what I mean? Like you just have it blaring through the work site. Again, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so from that perspective, I completely understand. It'd be like the equivalent of you having like a Spotify subscription as soon as it was even a thing because you need it.
Totally.
You know? And same for me. Like I live on Spotify just about at work. Like whenever I'm working, so premium makes complete sense for me.
Yeah. Also, have you ever been to a gig, right, where someone's using Spotify for their house music?
But
And
not a free.
Oh,
but they
it's
don't
so
have
embarrassing.
Oh yeah,
It's so bad.
guys, why? No.
Yeah.
Why would you
how
do
fucking
that?
hard is it? Not only that, but like if you're
seen
getting paid
venues do
to
it.
be there.
That's worse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like that's
like
really
a cafe and stuff
unacceptable.
like that. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what that'll be too? That will be the owner, like, not even giving a fuck about there being music, and the people that are actually working there going, 1, you need vibe, and 2, I'm fucking bored. It's silent in here.
Yeah,
it's weird when customers come in.
That's fair.
So that'll be someone using their own personal Spotify
Yeah.
account, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so anyway, Squid Game.
Wow, that was it.
Welcome to our podcast.
Yeah.
Welcome to our
We're
podcast.
back.
Oh, you know what I didn't set up tonight was the timer. How long have we been going, Pricey? Is there a timer on the recorder?
That'll be about 35 minutes.
It is about 30 minutes, almost to the second.
Oh, fucking there you go. Oh, yeah.
Not as bang on as you
Yeah,
are.
not as close, but you got to hone it. It's a skill you got to hone. Yeah. Squid Game.
Squid Game.
Childhood game. So there's all these different games, but the North Korea part that Jimmy was saying before was basically it's the premise of the show is that there's these people that are like in horrible, crippling debt or just really financially just unable to survive in the real world.
Or just really fucked, like personal stories. Like
Yeah.
just like bad decision after bad decision, and they've just put them in an absolute, not even a financial hole, just like an actual hole, like an emotional hole, and they have like no one left.
Exactly, yeah. And they have everyone's got like a void to fill or a change that they need in their life.
Okay.
And there's this, whatever this overarching organization is that has profiled all of these people, knows exactly what their situation is, and has sort of like coerced them into like playing a game in public. Just with a guy comes up with a briefcase and it's like, would you like to play a game where you could win some money? And they're like, oh, are you a scam? What's this? Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, eventually cons them into it and then said, if you like that, there's more where that came from, gives them a card. And so all these people have, called the number on the card and they all get picked up, but they get like knocked out when they get picked up. And then they wake up in this massive facility and the first thing they're asked to do is to go into this like, big area and start playing this children's game. Obviously the twist is that if you get eliminated, you die.
The games are lethal.
So does like I'm just kind of thinking in terms of like how, sort of Netflix era TV sort of goes. At the end of the very first episode, does like the first person die and it kind of ends on that like cliffhanger of everyone going, oh fuck, this is for realsies.
No. It goes. The first episode goes a little bit further after that, but it's there's still that. I mean, I felt like I knew that was coming anyway because I'm like, why else would you be in a room like and with this gigantic friggin' doll at the end of it? It's like it just, what else? What could possibly go wrong?
First game is red light, green light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so you got to run.
I'm glad you actually.
And then you got to like freeze, right?
I was trying
you
not
got to
to.
freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's the thing that was instantly spoiled for me was I saw so many things about this doll and like there was someone that did like a CG render of like this doll as an alarm clock. So like when it goes from it was just like the doll and it had a clock and as soon as it went to 8 o'clock it like turned its eyes at the guy's back of the guy's head and like shot a
No, thank you.
yeah shot like a laser at the back of its head. But
Okay, so
but you're right though.
Yeah.
You do kind of the tone of it leading into that isn't completely like, oh, whatever, this is going to just be a fun, easy thing. Like, the tone is very much, there's something wrong going on, and then the payoff happens.
Yeah. So, having not seen the show at all, it sounds like a mashup of the Saw franchise meets Takeshi's Castle.
Okay.
Meets...
I mean,
Did you ever
that
see
might
the
be
show?
a little bit of, like, just sort of Asian stereotyping there.
Well, it's a knockout team. Get fucked.
Yeah.
And then, did you ever see the movie Cube, or do you know the movie Cube?
I've heard of Cube,
Yeah, they basically wake up in this sort of death trap.
A little bit like that.
Yeah.
So kind of...
The funny part is, and if I'd had a little bit more notice... Thanks, man. If I had a little bit more notice, I would have actually been able to go look it up. But there was actually another show, it probably still is on there, another show on Netflix that was actually a Japanese show that had a similar concept. And I can't remember the name of it for the life of me, but it was also really good. But that was more like, there were like 4 friends, like, dudes in their early 20s. Yep. Again, layabouts, like no-hopers type thing. And they essentially end up in a game, which is lethal, and they, it was kind of like a similar concept. So I remember when I started watching this, I was like, "Oh man, that reminds me of this show," and obviously, like the paths diverge, but that's probably the closest similarity that I can think of.
Yeah, okay.
But obviously, I can't remember the name of the show. So
does it follow like sort of one main character through it, or do you sort of follow a couple of you have a couple of favourite horses in the race kind of thing? Yeah,
there's a couple. Like it tends to follow one guy, but there's like a core group that you kind of root for. Yeah, so to speak.
Yeah, it's definitely not all from like one perspective. The idea is that the sort of like the main guy is, as the series goes on, even though everything's kind of centered around him, he's probably the least important character, I think.
Okay.
Just in terms of like everything else that's going on, he kind of feels like the, I don't know, like the Frodo sort of thing of like, he is the story, but everything else going on around him is the actual, like the journey and everything else. And like, there's not a lot of stock put in him as a character. He is a plot device.
But he will probably prevail.
And you get about as annoyed at him as you do with Frodo.
Yeah. Righto.
Like, just in terms of
why would you do that?
Yeah, he's like the dude that when you're watching past him, you just go, I don't want to hate you, but like, you're making it real hard for me, buddy.
And it's totally played that way. And that's the beauty of it too, is like to watch something like that and watch someone play a character like that and you get so frustrated with them, but like, that's them just being a really good actor. Like I really enjoy that. But like the crux of it was, so with the North Korean like defector that is part of this game, it's all these random people. And
sorry, is this show like in that universe? Is it televised?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
So it's not like the public are watching and sort of cheering on.
No, and I'd have thought that would be as it was starting to play out. I'm like, oh, this is for TV or whatever. But it sort of seems like it's more the guy who's created this thing. It's for him. He's so rich and powerful that it obviously changes. So I'm only like,
but it's not televised.
Yeah, okay.
I'm only like 4 episodes in at the moment.
Don't spoil it, is what he's saying.
Yeah. I'm only like just 4 episodes. Jimmy, I'm 4 episodes in.
Oh no, I'm not spoiling
fucking
anything.
cool it. And I mean, here I am.
I'm determined. He's already said more than what I was going to say, but anyway, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, the point that I wanted to make was that because it's children's games, the whole thing's based around, right? You know, like there'd be, I don't know, a game that you might play in class or something that the teacher would have. You know, like heads down, thumbs up.
Yeah.
Right?
That would have been an amazingly lethal game.
That would have been.
It would have been
We
great.
need an Australian Squid Game.
I'm down for this.
Just 50% of people eliminated.
Call it Roo Game.
Roo Game.
Yep.
Okay, I like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that.
That's the best I can do at short notice. Sorry.
Fair enough. Where was I? Oh, the point I was trying to make, and this is the 4th time I've said the point I was trying to make, was that because these are kids' games, there's a sort of, as time goes on, you know, you have to make alliances. There's 100 or fucking people or whatever involved in this thing. So there's way more than that.
455.
There's more. Yeah, there's a lot of people involved in this thing.
Wow.
But you've got to start making alliances, and because they're these kids' games, right? This chick from North Korea who's ended up in this thing hasn't grown up with any of these.
Oh yeah.
Shit. So everything that every time there's something like new comes up, right? If you fail, you die. So all these guys that have known these games growing up have this bit of an advantage, and so as they're building alliances, it's sort of like they're saying to her, even though none of us know what the next thing's going to be, we're all probably going to have done this before, and
she's at a distinct disadvantage.
Yeah, it was only like a little, like one time they mentioned it, but it made me think. We had South Australian kids move to our school, and not only did moving from South Australia mean that they didn't end up in the grade they were supposed to be in, they got kept back a grade because of different syllabus. There's just a bunch of shit about Queensland that was fucking weird and foreign to them. You know,
they would have said words differently as well, like the
pool instead of pool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I went on a top deck tour, and we were like the only Queenslanders on the top deck tour, and we got the absolute like piss ripped out of us for saying pool and cool, because down there it's just like, oh, it's going to be real cool to go to the pool. Like that's how they talk, and we were the odd ones out.
They sound like a Kiwi.
That's what I mean. I was just like,
Adelaide and Melbourne have a distinctly more like British.
Yeah, they do.
British tone.
Well, and you'd probably know, like the further west you go, the more you end up getting more of a twang again. Like, or sorry, not twang. You get more nasally.
Yeah.
Like it's weird. It's weird. As soon as I go home, it's like it comes straight back out again.
Yeah, because where are you from again?
Roma, so Western Queensland.
Yeah.
So it's really strange. Like I'll talk like this, and even now I feel like I can actually hear it. Weirdly enough, it's that weird like.
And that makes you think about blinking. And,
You know,
so
then you blink more.
And then
now I'm blinking more. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
So like, but I do know when I go home, and like if I run into someone like I don't know, parents, friends, or something down the street,
Do you get back into it?
Yeah. I know. So it's like a lean into it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm here. I may as well. Like, yeah, here you go. You know, like that. You know what I mean? Like it comes out harder.
Yeah.
It's real. It's weird. It's interesting, but it's subliminal.
I mean, I do that daily because I'm a tradie, right?
Oh yeah.
So when I'm at work and I'm working with these old fellas and stuff that are, that they have only talked one way their entire life because their whole life has been the same.
Yeah. It's kind of masking, I guess.
I have to lean into my tradie voice and my, the words that I wouldn't normally say and stuff like that.
Yeah, righto, chief. No worries.
Yeah, and shit like that. And then when I come here, I slip back into just me normally. But then tomorrow I've got to go and turn on the tradie voice again. And it's because you don't get through the day. It's masking.
It is. You're right.
Yeah, you really don't get through the day otherwise. And I bet if you went home and you didn't lean into it, like it would just make things subtly harder for you the whole time.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably think, he's been in the big smoke too long.
Yeah.
It's rubbed off on you.
Yeah.
It's probably hard enough that like you're an IT guy as well, and it's just like, so what did you get up to on the weekend?
So yeah, I tried turning it off and on again.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah.
This time.
Yeah, it's just like, what do you do for a living? It's like, I fix computers and stuff like that. And they're like, oh yeah, okay. Sounds rewarding. So anyway.
Is the first question then, my computer's fucked, do you want to
Oh no, that's universal.
Yeah.
Like, that part is like no matter where you go, it's like, actually, yeah, you probably cop it a little bit too if you have someone who's in the industry and they're like, oh, can you not look after my band? And you're like, yeah, easy, chief.
Yeah.
Once every 6 months my lights flicker. What's all that about? Do you know anything about that? Yeah, I do. We all know.
I have this pop-up that keeps popping up and asking me to send money to people. Like, should I do that?
Yes.
Yes. By the way, here's my bank details.
Yeah.
Jill tells a story about how her dad
That's some wild stories.
her dad clicked on a thing and like got like a couple of $1,000 like ripped out of his bank account.
Woo.
And like rather than take it to someone who can sort of remove the malware and all that sort of stuff, just like shut the laptop and threw it in the bin.
He would not
just threw it in the bin.
He would not be the first one. He would not be the first one that I've heard of doing that.
And Jill's like, has the bin been like collected yet, or can you get? Because she was like, if someone plugs that in, like, and opens it up, like,
all your stuff's on it.
It's she was like, you need to have like destroyed it or got it fixed.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just like throw it in the bin. Like, even on a disposal level, you can't like throw that in landfill.
No.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god. She was just like, Dad, what? No.
But does he think it's like Mission Impossible or something that like by closing the laptop it will self-destruct in 5 seconds or like because I don't get the idea behind like, well, I've turned it off and I've thrown it away and so the problem's gone. It's just like
I think it's that idea of I've turned it off, so it's stopped, therefore it's fixed.
Yeah.
So because it's stopped, it's no longer going. So it's fixed.
But if I turn it on again,
then that'll be a problem. So long as I put it somewhere where no one can turn it on ever again, I'll be fine.
Kind of sounds like the old like the fable about like the little boy and putting his finger in the dike. He's like you're plugging the dam with your finger, and you're like, okay, well the leak stopped. It's like, yeah, well what now, dickhead? Like where do we go from here? Yeah.
But so. We're done with Squid Game, yeah?
Yeah. Well, actually, last thing with that was literally I was just amazed that that's apparently now the most watched show on Netflix.
Yeah.
Because I'd seen it, I was like, that looks really cool, I'll get around to watching it, and then like 2 months later, I had like 4 people in the space of 3 days be like, have you watched Squid Game yet? Have you watched Squid Game yet? I'm like, no. Fuck. Okay, I'll get there.
It came on like wildfire too.
Yeah.
Because I remember it got recommended to me in Netflix. It's like, this is trending at the moment. I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. And then like
most trending things where you're like, oh yeah, well, it's like...
Yeah, and you're like, I'm
not going to watch that.
Yeah. I'm not going to jump on the trend just because you tell me.
It's like the 100 or whatever it was. I'm like, no.
Well, it was like, I didn't see Parasite until it was in something like its 40th week at like the Princess... Wow. Is it the Princess Theatre in the Valley here? The Palace Theatre. Yeah, it was in like its 36th or... I think it was nearly 40 weeks and the pandemic broke its streak. But it was just constantly showing in there. And my mate's like, you got to come see this movie. It's amazing. And I went and saw it. But like, it was the opposite of the trending thing. It's like everyone will be talking about it. I'm like, oh, I've missed it, whatever. And you're like, no, you got to sneak in and check it out. very interesting that the two most popular South Korean like movies that I know about, or like, you know, media, class divide. It's all about class divide. Everything is like Parasite. I don't know if you've seen it, but Parasite was it was fully a class. It was about a family that infiltrated a rich like person's house as like the servants, you know, so like the tutor and the maid and the chauffeur and blah blah blah, they like cottoned on to these like rich people being kind of dumb and not realizing that every time someone that worked for them recommended another person, it was just someone else in their family, and they just slowly like managed to trick this family into employing their whole family as their servants. But Class Divide, that whole movie was about how these people had absolutely like nothing, and they just managed to like, you know, infiltrate the upper class even though they hated them.
Yeah.
And Squid Game
and symbiotically use them for their purpose, kind of thing.
Yeah, and whereas the sort of ethos of Squid Game is, you know, we're in here playing this game, and you know it's life or death, but it's kind of better than being outside. Yeah.
Oh, plus also, you know, billions.
Yeah. I did note the prize was in the billions.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, you wanted to move on.
Yeah, so I mean, the show that I've been watching, and unfortunately I just saw today, it's on binge here in Australia, but it's on Hulu in the States, and Hulu has decided not to renew it for season 2, which I was really pissed off about, because like Jill and I have been loving it, and it's based on a DC comic book called Y, The Last Man.
Okay.
As in the letter Y, and the whole basis of it is that basically one day everyone in the world with a Y chromosome just drops dead, except one guy,
right,
and his little monkey. That's it. He's got like a little, sort of like, just those little like organ grinders. Those little dudes. And just everyone in every one of the world.
Person, or like, because don't get me wrong, I don't know a lot about fucking chromosomes.
So basically, every man or anyone that
because the male animals have
all the male animals too.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And that's why people are really like
everything.
Hang on, that guy and that male monkey. What the fuck? Like
yeah.
So, and you catch little lines through the whole thing as well.
They got their work cut out for them, man.
So you eventually see a bunch of like people that are like, you're like, oh man, and then you find out they're like transgender people,
right?
Who so transgender, obviously, like they've been taking testosterone and all that sort of stuff, but they present as men. But then they also, there's a line as well that says about that there's a bunch of like people who present as women who died on that day as well, because there's like a lot of like intersex people who were born with internal with a Y chromosome,
okay,
and had like internal like male genitalia and stuff like that as well, but may not have even known that, like they were just born like that and they had like internal testes and like stuff like that, but born with a Y chromosome, but just like that just dropped dead on that day as well. Like
Can we back up though? Did you start this conversation with saying this is a DC show or just
DC
based on it?
Based on a DC comic, right?
Not set in the like Superman universe. It's just like
so when was this like? When did this comic come out?
I think I have to check this, but it's like sort of early 2000s.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So DC has like a mature age like label that they release like sort of like stuff like they had, I think it was called no, it's not Milestone. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But they have like a mature label thing that they release like Sandman and like Constantine and like stuff like that on them. And it allows them to release like sort of mature reader content. And this was so overnight, 50% of the population just dies, And what it but what it really shows, and the comment that I think is most sort of poignant out of it, is that it really shows like the result of like over reliance on and like the knowledge and expertise sort of like overbalance on one gender, in that, like, you know, obviously we come from a really patriarchal society, and it's like balancing, it's in the process of balancing, but, you know, historically there's just been so much in the way of, like, you know, academia has been men, you know, so many of the, like, you know, jobs like engineers and all of that sort of stuff have all just been like really heaped over on that side of the gender scale. And when all of those people die, so they are really left with things like nuclear power stations, how do they run, dams, really, really quickly, things like the running of the pumps that keep water out of the subways go. So all of a sudden just the subways just flood like really quickly. You know, just there's a lot of stuff, like infrastructure just goes almost immediately. And so like, and then what happens is like, as it turns out, the one guy that's left on the, you know, the trail of succession because obviously the president was a man.
Yeah.
And so whoever's left, his mother ends up being the president, just like the trail of succession.
And he turns out to be a nuclear physicist.
No, not at all. This is the thing.
And everything's saved.
No, not at all. He's like totally pathetic. He's like, he had been leaning on his mum and dad for years for money and all that sort of stuff, because he was like trying to become an escape artist. He's like trying to be like a magician and an escape artist. And so they're all like, he's just fucking pathetic. Like, he's just like, it's just this
fucking
guy that's
artist.
Like, yeah. And he's very much like
typical artist.
And he's like not wanting to move to Australia. He wants to move to Australia with his girlfriend at the time, and you know, she's like,
on
no.
earth would he want to move here to be an escape artist?
Well, she's moving out to
less of a
do
market.
something.
Well, we haven't managed to get out, so maybe he can.
But but essentially, like, she's trying to get away from him. Like, she's trying to be like, no, but you've got your show that you're putting together.
Right.
Like,
I'm literally moving to the opposite side of the earth to
and
get
he's
away
like,
from you.
no, but you know, I'm sure Australians like magic as well. And she's like, basically like, don't come. And so, but yeah, it's really good. It's really engaging. And like, I mean, obviously what you're left with is a cast of all women.
Yeah.
Filmed by, written by, like all women. And so like this one guy in the whole show. Like,
pretty awesome.
And like, what I thought was really crappy about why they're cancelling it is like, what a chance to have, like, there's so few chances to have just like really awesome ensemble female casts.
Yeah.
And you're gonna cancel it? Like, it sucks.
Even that actually provides a completely different story arc. Like you've just mentioned them, like, when has something like that ever really been explored?
Exactly.
Like with like sex and gender in mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then so what you also get is like, obviously, so on the politics side of things, the president who died, he was a Republican, so he's like really conservative, and then all of a sudden the person who is succeeding him is on the opposite side of politics, but is still in the chain of like succession. She was the one, and so like you get, you know, a political perspective change almost immediately. And the president who died, his daughter, is like a really hectic like men's rights activist. Like she's a real traditionalist and like thinks that, you know, like women should be, you know, like caregivers and all that sort of stuff. So she's like this real like like backwards sort of thing as well. But she's also there like fighting, saying like conservative views should still be like considered as well, and she's trying to punch that home, and you know, they're going like, give it a fucking rest, like we're just trying to like restore some civility, like and you know, facilities,
keep the lights on.
Yeah. Like they're just like, fucking give it a rest.
There's definitely people too that in the event of like a, you know, pretty much apocalyptic event like that, like in terms of, you know, it's not it's less about there's so many things going on outside this studio.
It's a water polo. Okay. It's water polo.
Right, so there's all kinds of sirens and shit. I mean, there's apocalypse going on outside as we speak. We'll walk out and we'll be like, oh, what have we missed? But the idea that it's essentially, half the human race gets wiped out, that's basically an apocalyptic event. But you just know that even in the event of that happening, there would still be those people that are super concerned with shit like just their general like values and standing and all that other shit. You would think that all that shit goes out the window.
You would think it would get wiped, yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that you could just people like that I've met where I've gone like, it doesn't matter. People have really hard views on something and they might have like a near-death experience or something happens to them that's life-changing or whatever, and they go, oh, maybe it's some time to reflect and sort of open my mind a little bit. And then there's other people you go, there's nothing I could do to change there's nothing anyone or anything could do to change your mind, to the point where you would never be bothered with any other ideas than the things you're currently obsessed with,
Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard thing, like, and the other side of the argument as well is like in an apocalyptic or Armageddon type event, like there is this sort of like, you have to get real practical. So like sometimes on the sort of left wing of politics as well, it does get itself really concerned in the almost like the abstract and the idealistic, and you're like, no, you know what? Sometimes it's just about survival. Hey, it's not.
I think
because I'd like to think everyone would
centrist views and not left or right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to think like people got really, if something like this happened, like people got to, be. We can rebuild society and like
a means to come together or form a community. But
I mean, this show really.
I don't know. I think that comes back to what you were talking about before. For some people, it's such an inherent part of their identity that for them to try and change that would be like mentally catastrophic.
Maybe it makes them cling to it even more.
Totally.
Exactly right.
And the idea of that not being true is just incomprehensible.
Yeah,
they couldn't possibly fathom that's a thing.
It just drives them further and further into their own shell of reality that isn't.
One thing I did really like, like I said, the incoming president, played by Diane Lane, she is
perfect casting.
Yep, she's a Democrat, and is a humanitarian and all of that sort of stuff. But at one point, they're evacuating New York, and they're talking about like the human toll and how many people are left there, and what they're doing to get it out. And they're like, and the person that's advising her says like, she's basically asking how long till we get out of New York. And she's like, oh, we still got to go through the Guggenheim and get all that. And she's like, fuck the art.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, okay. Oh, wow, all right.
Yeah.
That's the practical
approach. It was just like, fuck the art. I was like,
yeah.
It's a bit of a different view than in like, stuff like war movies and stuff like that where, a lot of that like real hopeful spirit stuff is very much like, that's the thing that we're fighting for. It's love and it's art and it's the human spirit. It's we're by saving the art we're saving humanity. But it's like they're just like fuck the art, get the people out, hurry up. Like, it's like very much
super practical.
Yeah.
100%. Like I think that's the most realistic. Like the movies where you see, and obviously like there's like action and adventure movies where there's always someone's like, oh, but I need my shoes or whatever like that. Like there's that kind of shit. But just generally, practically, like I feel like that's a super relatable way to, and also kind of flips the the gender perception on its head of like like it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman or in between or whatever it is. It's when it comes to like a survival situation like that, that's how you're thinking. But you look at like Indiana Jones 2, I think it was Temple of Doom, with the most annoying blonde female stereotype in the fucking world, kicking and screaming and worrying about her hair and shit, and it just makes you want to punch her in her face. But
we do not advocate violence against women. Holy shit, Doug.
No.
Holy fuck.
No, but I want to take that character on the page and I want to punch that character in the face. Like that. What I mean
metaphorically.
Metaphorically. But
fuck, Doug.
But you know what I'm saying, though, right?
It feels like there was like about 20 years of repressed anger that just came out for that character as well. Let's be honest.
She's just a poorly written character.
Oh, no, but that's 90s fucking script writing.
That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, sorry, was that?
I'm not saying.
Terrible.
I'm not saying the person on the screen.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, it's that, and they've written that character that way to piss you off.
Yeah.
But that was the stereotype. And they fucking succeeded. Is the whole time in the movie you're like, I get why they've done this, but I actually kind of wish the writer had just someone had like read his shit and gone, nah mate, let's do away with it. Because all it's done is annoy the fuck out of you. But I like that they've kind of flipped that stereotype of like, well, you know, the men are the practical ones and the women are the ones that are like, well, you know, think about all of the other stuff that makes us feel
wildly emotional.
Indy went back for his hat. How is that like rational?
Yeah, exactly.
Of
many
all
times.
the things, many times. How is that rational?
Yeah, exactly. It totally right. Yeah. Oh, I mean, actually,
I did not come here tonight thinking I was going to be ripping on Indiana Jones. Actually,
let's take it one level
uncomfortable.
Let's take it one level deeper.
Oh no.
That belongs in a museum. His whole thing is that he's chasing down art to save it at the cost of his life. Indiana Jones is the most impractical character.
That's the
ever.
point I was making around that, like, about like what he's saving. He believes is, you know, part of like that's worth fighting for because that is history, it's human emotion, it's you know.
And Nicolas Cage did a better job anyway.
We've talked about National Tournament,
but then there's also
just because I just enjoy fighting words, it's fine.
Well, there's also there's a lot of those like wartime movies from, you know, like World War II and stuff. Monuments Men was the one I was going to say, where there's so much onus put on.
That's the point of it.
There's all these places getting bombed and destroyed, and we're chasing around and we're, you know, gathering up all these things, and like fuck the art. Like, and I say that coming from the point of view of someone who, you know, I'm not an artist in terms of like physical media, but like I love the arts in general, and I'm totally like, if you can, sure, but if it's at the cost of the greater good, fucking make more.
For the greater good.
The greater good.
It just brings up to me like it is a real shame that they're talking about cancelling the show, because I think it raises a lot of really great questions and perspectives that not a lot of people, like I certainly hadn't given a lot of thought to before watching the show, and I was just like, this is great.
Yeah, but as is the streaming service, sort of like the death knell is that if you get a season in and you haven't caught fire with the world, like Squid Game will 100% get it. I haven't seen the end, so I don't know how it ends. But if there is more story to be told and they've set it up for another season, it's already greenlit. It'll be
apparently it already is.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't surprise me. I read a thing about Netflix around the reason why shows get either a season 2 or not, is around like if it brings new subscriptions. If it just appeals to and just keeps people on the platform, not good enough.
Yeah,
interesting.
I can't speak for the other platforms, but that's their policy is around like.
And see, how does that work when you have?
Because it has to be. It's a volume-based business.
No, I get that, but like, how does that work when you have a completely unknown show? Like, I'm going to use Squid Game again, but like, how does that work when you have a show like Squid Game? Oh, actually, now I think I have the answer to that.
Like
that would be,
right?
Yeah, it would be. It'd be people who've already got the platform telling people who don't have the platform, oh, hey, you got to sign up because you got to watch this stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, all right. I have
so
my
like
answer.
the original, the original show on there that really, sort of I guess set the model was really like Stranger Things.
Yeah, definitely.
It was the one that like pulled in just so many new subscriptions, and a reason why like the Dark Crystal remake didn't, which is a real shame because. Gorgeous show. Did you watch it?
No, I actually haven't.
Oh,
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
Oh my god! Like the cast was brilliant. Just the sheer puppetry and mix of puppetry and CGI.
Right.
And like you've just got like Mark Hamill as the voice of one of the Skeksis, like one of the and like just brilliant art, just absolutely brilliant, like puppetry and. Like, and a mixture of like nostalgia for me, like having watched the old one as a kid, and it's like just so incredibly dark and.
Well, I never saw that, but is that basically like the more sort of purest version of Labyrinth?
sort of. It's like it's a Jim Henson workshop show. So it's kind of like a really dark sort of Muppet show almost, and you know, and like you've got these sort of like little mouse looking type people, and then you got these real crazy old crow raven looking things called Skeksis who are like they've taken over the control of the heart of the planet basically, which is this big crystal, and they all like feed off these old crow looking things. They all feed off it to keep themselves young, and that's what's killing the planet because they're like hiving off the power of the core of the planet and stuff like that.
Watch this.
It's so good.
Tasty planet.
But like they've all got like these really high pitched like voices, and they're just like tasty planet. Yeah,
like
almost.
That.
Yeah, like and like
that's my best Muppet impersonation.
Well, just get Brady to pitch shift you up.
Yeah, like Simon Pegg is the voice of one of them.
Perfect.
Yeah, and he has this great thing where like he's this real inquisitive sort of guy, and he's always like he's got this like real it's brilliant,
so good.
And so for it to not get a second series, I was like, fuck.
Yeah,
because just the artistry of, and it won Emmy awards, but then just like just like didn't bring in enough subscriptions.
The problem is Netflix is just probably the world's biggest debt machine at the moment, and like you say, it's to them. There's definitely things that like they've kept Stranger.
I think Tesla might have it.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Okay, not the biggest debt machine, but angling to be the biggest debt machine. But I have like seen a few like people, stock market analysts and stuff, talking about like where Netflix stands in terms of like how in debt they are versus how much money they're making, and
being the biggest content creators at the moment as well, which is bonkers.
Exactly, and like they only really stand to keep their business going by going into more and more debt, and it's kind of like the whole WeWork thing, right? Where if you're not familiar with WeWork, it was a company that was buying up real estate, doing up offices so they could do like hot desking and stuff. So you could like rent an office for a month that was a fully appointed, ready to go office in the middle of the city, etc. But on like the idea to talk about it and for the CEO to boast about it, it seemed like such a great business. But on paper, when they went to go to their IPO, it all fell apart because they realized that they had like 50 times more debt or something, 15 times more debt than they had income.
Yeah.
And there was no real way for them to get
to dig themselves out of that.
Yeah, like there was no feasible
scalable model.
There was no feasible like rise in adoption of that was going to pay off that debt, because they had to keep scaling it, so they had to keep making it bigger and taking it to more places for it to catch on. But they'd already bought so much real estate and hadn't got the numbers they needed, and so on paper, no one wanted to buy stocks in a business that was very clearly like, you know.
Here's a fun little nerd fact, although I'm going to have to go and actually fact check this now as well because it was a few years ago. But I also heard as well they had the exact same Wi-Fi password for every single WeWork office across the world.
That's so insane. That's such a terrible idea.
I remember reading that and just going, really?
Was it WeWork with like a 3 for the E?
Yeah, it was 0 for the O. I can't remember exactly, but it was something like in some that range. It was not good.
I don't know what this says about me,
no.
But my first thought with that was basically like, if you were some sort of terrorist cell, that would be a way of like sort of having Wi-Fi and internet access across the country.
Terrorist tips with Tim.
That's what I'm saying. This, I don't know what that says about me, but like, that's like what you could achieve with that.
That has to go in the.
That's the clip.
That definitely has to go in the clip.
That's the name of the episode. But no, you're right though. You're 100%.
What you could achieve with that is fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, look. Let's be honest. It's actually probably easy now just to get 4G, but. Yeah, it's still an interesting concept. Yeah.
Like, just the cyber terrorism that you could do with a ready-made network.
Yeah,
across the country. It's fucked up.
Yeah, and interesting things.
I guess as well. You know, if you were gonna do that, it'd be pretty easy to just change if you can get into it right, that you'd be able to change the password and lock everyone out.
I actually speaking of like bad Wi-Fi passwords, I actually have a photo somewhere on my phone This is probably be about 6-7 years ago now. I was in Chermside and someone had hacked their Wi-Fi.
Yeah, right.
Do you remember this?
And they wrote all sorts of salacious shit on the big screen.
Yeah.
Coming down the...
So basically you were going down the escalators and there was basically this massive, like, not floor to ceiling, but pretty much floor to ceiling panel.
Maya ads
like LED panel that you had advertising on, and they basically hacked it, changed it to this, like, garishly blue background with white writing, which is basically like, your security is fucked. Like, we've hacked your Wi-Fi, and they just left all here is your Wi-Fi password, right? And they just left
get your act together, Derek.
Yeah, basically. I remember just walking down that and just going, someone's gonna have a very bad day.
You had that really strong IT guy sympathy.
Yeah, see, so I have the sympathy whenever I say it. Like, part of me is like, that is absolutely hilarious, and the other part of me is just like, someone's getting fired over this, and I'm glad it's not me.
Yeah.
So a bunch of years ago, my mate Timo, who's an IT guy, he came and stayed at my parents' house in Rockhampton one time, and my parents didn't have Wi-Fi. This was years and years ago. They just had a computer with a modem that they just plugged in, right? So Timo needed the internet, and he was like, well, I can't unplug your mum's computer. So he sort of just did a search for like Wi-Fi. He's like, maybe next door's unsecured. Let's just see how we go. Sure enough, next door, unsecured Wi-Fi, and like, if you can get into that, then you can get onto their network and you can see the devices on their network, right?
Yep.
So he found a printer on there. And he just printed change your Wi-Fi password.
What a nice guy sort of moment as well to be
that is firmly in the what I call grey hat. Like, actually that's probably more white hat, but it's definitely like in that borderline, like, you were gumming in here for nefarious reasons, but you're also like going to be a little bit good about it. Like chaotic good. Like chaotic neutral type.
Totally.
It's like, I'm in here just to like break shit, but I'm also going to help you.
Yeah. He's like, I got my internet, but also
you
should be more careful.
But I also make sure no one else can do this now.
Yeah, totally, exactly.
That's fantastic. I love that.
That's so good.
But also, like, imagine waking up and, because it was the middle of the night too, the printer would have just started going off.
And in those days too, it would have taken a full 5 minutes for it to print out as well. Just warming up, getting the jets ready,
clacking and whatever that it does.
Was it?
That should have been a Dot Matrix one. It would have been like full
what the fuck's going on in the office?
Was there a 2000s meme that was like the midline between like Good Guy Greg and Scumbag Steve? Was there a designated guy for that, or was it just like Good Guy Greg but with Scumbag Steve's hat on or whatever? Because it's like, hacks your Wi-Fi, tells you to change your password.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Wow, you just took memes. You went right back.
I went way back. I went digging.
I actually had the scratch in the back of my mind for that. I'm like, which one was that again?
Yeah, I remember Scumbag Steve with that rubbish, like, Louis Vuitton hot on backwards. Like,
just the worst. Just the most punchable face.
What a Chad.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Hey, man, he's not Corey Worthington.
Yeah, well. Although, didn't Corey Worthington go on to sort of make something of himself?
Yeah, actually did, ironically.
Yeah. So, what a motherfucker that guy. That guy just really,
what a punchable face.
Yeah.
But how much did everyone who was around his age at the time just be like, yeah, fuck yeah, you mad
definitely.
you mad bastard.
It's weird. There is an anarchy to it that I like appreciate.
Well, the Phil Jameson glasses. That was.
But it wasn't just the anarchy. It was the attitude towards the anarchy.
Yeah.
It was like that. Yeah, look, this was nuts, and I don't care.
That defiance of that interview where she's like, take your glasses off.
Yeah, and he's like, no.
I was like, fucking hell. Like,
on national TV.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that is...
You know what it was too? That guy, I would not have been friends with that guy.
No.
That guy would have been like, he's just another one of those dickheads I don't want anything to do with. But the little, like, insight that you knew that it wasn't just like a, no, I do whatever I want. He was like, no, I don't have to do that. And it was one of those things where I was like, this guy's unlocked the nothing really matters.
Just
because someone's older than you doesn't mean they're in charge of you.
Yeah.
And just because you're a teenager.
Just because you're on national TV and you're on national TV for an embarrassing thing does not mean that you have to still toe the line.
But here's the thing. Ideologically, he wasn't sitting there thinking that.
No.
He was just being
He was just
defiant,
reactive.
but symbolically,
Yeah.
it was that.
And kind of even temperedly as well.
Yeah.
Because that's what I mean. He could have been like, no, whatever, and like really throwing it around. But he was just like a cool, like, no, you don't do that to me. And I was like, fuck, like, yeah, I have respect for that guy, even though I would never hang with that guy.
Because I can only begin to imagine the nerves, if nothing else. You're on national TV for basically like
being a cockhead.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And yet you're still just being like, whatever. No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Maybe he just doesn't have like a fear response.
Maybe not.
Maybe he's still drunk.
It's like a well, that too. But maybe it's like a gag reflex. He just doesn't have the fear response that anyone else would have, where they're like, fuck, I'm caught out, I'm on national TV, I'm gonna get my ass handed to me. He's like, yeah, fucking whatever.
Okay, I have like one little last story that involves like my mate Timo again and Wi-Fi.
Okay.
And like,
is this just like an IT special edition?
It kind of is.
Or what? I'm okay with this, but
it involves arson as well.
Oh,
so
God.
yeah, it's a pretty wild story actually.
Okay.
And so I think we're kind of dragging on. I think so. Like maybe after this.
No, we're good. Yeah, like this will be it. Yeah.
So right back at like this is the early days of Wi-Fi. Like no one has Wi-Fi at this point. Like very, very few people. It's a very new invention at this point. It's like only just come into Australia. I'm talking like this maybe like 2004.
You know, it was an Australian invention.
Well, no doubt, but like commercially available.
Yeah.
Very few people at this point. Like 2004, 2005. Right?
Yeah, right. Okay.
That's like I remember my parents sending a text around that time as well. It would have been maybe a bit earlier than that, and me at the time being like...
They didn't have a character limit?
Well, they had like one of those like tiny little flip phones that like had like the really like LG tiny little screen on it, and they were like something about, oh, we're trying to get in contact with whoever, we'll send them a text message, and me at the time still being bewildered by the fact they had a mobile phone, because I was used to a cordless phone, but they're saying text message, I'm like, what the fuck, who the fuck does that? And then like, you know, a few years later I'm in high school and it's like all I do every fucking day. Yeah.
So
anyway,
Timo was an IT
never
guy,
had
like I
a
said.
Oh really?
Yeah, I wasn't gamming like the other kids.
Mate, free text.
Anyway, so Timo's got a laptop, and he's like, "We're gonna go war driving."
Yeah.
You never heard of this?
No.
You go driving around.
Yeah. You literally, it's what it sounds
You
like.
take a laptop.
You take a laptop. You take like some software, and you take a Wi-Fi card, and you basically literally drive around and see
looking for unsecured Wi-Fi networks,
or even secured ones that you want to.
Sorry, can I back up? So you said you had a laptop.
You can, but I'm not going to allow.
And you take. All right, let's
you
move
can
on.
come back. No, you can come back. I like the grief you're giving.
Yeah.
That's only because I was giving it to you earlier.
I was going to say, Tim's still a little bit butthurt by how hard the pain I went earlier. So,
tiny bit.
So laptop. If you said laptop, and if you got a Wi-Fi card, as in like you would have a separate like an external Wi-Fi card.
Those times it was an external card.
Yeah.
That was
because only certain cards would kind of be able to do certain things, or would be able to be supported. So it's kind of like, you use this one because it's better, that sort of thing.
And was that like USB, or was that like a...
No, it was like a card. It was like, it was a slot.
Yeah, it was a slot in your laptop.
It was an IBM one, so there was an add-on that you had to buy.
Yeah. About this big.
So anyhow, we're out war driving, and
it sounds so funny when you say that.
Yeah, I know, isn't it? So we're driving down Main Street. We're going past like my old high school, and we pass this house, and there's like a fucking roaring fire in the backyard. Like this dude's backyard is on fire, and there's a caravan, and so it sort of backs onto the school, and there's no side fence to this house. So there's a driveway that goes down between the house and the school. And so that you can see a caravan in their backyard, and very clearly you can see there's a gas tank attached to the caravan. Ooh. And there's this raging fire edging closer and closer to this gas tank. And I ripped the car into this driveway, and I've run out and like grabbed a hose and like started putting out this fire. Timo's like banging on the door like, hey, your backyard's on fire, what the fuck, look what's going on. And so I put out this fire like with the hose, because like it was
Fireman Tim.
Yeah. And then
Fireman Tim.
And then we took off, and there was like 4 more fires all the way down the street. There had been a firebug just going around lighting fires in people's yards all the way down Main Street, and because that was the road we were going on, because we were heading over to my parents' house, and I didn't put all those ones out by that time. All of the fire brigade and whatever, and then at the end of the street was the cops had tackled this guy and got him, and then in the next the thing was the next morning in the Morning Bulletin, the Rockhampton paper at the time, was on the front page, firebug in Park Avenue. And it showed you the map of where all these fires were. But the one at the first house that I put out wasn't on there because it wasn't reported.
Right.
Because it was already out by the time.
Was anyone home?
Yeah, the dude sort of came out, but he just hadn't heard anything happening. This dude wasn't, he was just real quick. He just threw down a bunch of petrol and just lit this dude's back, the grass in the backyard up.
Oh, more just,
and then
you'd think you'd smell it.
Maybe, but it took off real fast. He just let it run. Lit another one, run.
And what tipped you off was the Wi-Fi that came up was too hot to handle. You're like, what's going on around here?
Yeah.
I can't believe that. So
I can't believe you actually were involved in a full-on firebug.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Shit, eh?
Yeah.
He has all the good stories.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, that's one of my sort of only good stories.
That's like your ace in the hole where you get low on stories at parties. I better rip this one out.
Yeah, kind of.
Is My Hero by Foo Fighters about you, Tim?
I feel
it
should be.
I think it is.
Bonnie Tyler's holding out for a hero.
Right. Yeah, it's more like we don't need another hero.
Fight,
we don't need another hero, Tim.
Tina Turner, what a banger.
Yeah, mate. You know it.
Absolute banger. I listen to that song on the regular. I love it.
Yeah, that seems like that would be on your Vibes playlist.
It is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, that and In the Air Tonight or whatever, and yeah.
Absolutely is.
Phil Collins.
All the voice.
Yep, that's there as well.
Yeah, because you got it
Age of Reason's more my banger than John Farnham banger than
Interesting.
Because you got that Phil Collins tee that you rep pretty regularly, hey?
That's my favourite shirt.
Yeah.
That is my absolute favourite shirt.
Yeah, that's.
And the fact that I cut the sleeves off it.
Yeah.
No one else in the world owns a fucking Phil Collins singlet.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just me.
Well, one more thing, Mr. Jimmy Harden. Thanks for coming along. It's been great. What's your favourite shirt? What's your go-to if you're really wearing something out?
You want to vibe.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I thought you were just going to be what's my favourite shirt at the moment, because I was going to say it's actually very much in season at the moment.
You're repping Ricky T's brand.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but thanks, man.
Shout out Ricky T, his Fortitude brand.
Excellent brand, really good t-shirts. Yeah, I have, aside from this one, of course, I have, it's just a black tee, but it's basically just got this tiny little meme in the corner.
Right.
And it just says, felt cute. It's a magpie, and it literally says, felt cute, might swip.
Right.
And so it was funny because I was wearing it out on Saturday or something, and the number of people I had come up and actually comment on it, it was 4 or 5 people.
It's because it's swooping season.
I know, but it was just interesting to have that kind of bond with a stranger, and especially with COVID at the moment. I'm sitting with a black face mask on,
and people coming straight up to you.
To be clear, the face mask was black. It wasn't a black face mask. I'm covering for everyone tonight. Dougie does not advocate for violence from women.
No.
And Jimmy is not racist.
No.
Fuck me dead.
I felt like that one wasn't even close, but thanks, man. Just to be sure.
I heard blackface mask.
Easily triggered, aren't we, Tim?
I was wearing a mask that happened to be black, which was on my face. Anyway, yeah.
But I do like though when you've all these all these tees at the moment that have the little thing in the corner on the front, and for someone to be looking closely enough and to come up to you,
and there's nothing else. Checking you out. There's nothing else on it either. There's nothing else on there. That's the only thing that's printed on it. It's just completely black. Completely black tee.
I can't remember who it was who was wearing it, but I remember someone. It was so it was a tee, not a polo, and it had a pocket. But when you sort of pulled the pocket down, It was just like someone sitting there going like that.
Right. I thought you were going to say there was just no fabric behind the pocket, just a nipple.
No.
That'd be fantastic.
It was just like, and I think like there's a little guy there giving the finger and it just says like, you're a nosy fucker, aren't you?
That's brilliant.
Because what business would you have looking in someone's fucking pocket?
Like that pocket as well.
Exactly.
Oh, that's nice.
I like the idea though that it'd be like two of those little like clip buttons like you would see on like a set of like
Overalls
like babies like where you open it up to get the nappy and stuff. You just clip it down and it's just their nipple. I like the idea that it's just like it's clipped up out of the way. Yeah. Well, my favourite T-shirt that I would get the shit ripped out of me for all the time was because I had this one T-shirt that I really loved. It was an Every Time I Die T-shirt.
I was just going to say it was an Every Time I Die
T-shirt. No way!
Says the guy currently wearing an Every Time I Die T-shirt. But I got it when the first time I saw them, they came to Brisbane and they, at the time I was of the age where I'm like, I want every bit of merch I can afford. So I bought so much of their shit. But they had a blue T-shirt that just had like a big, football helmet on it, like the American gridiron helmet. And it said something like, Every Time I Die, 91, 93, because I think that was the year that like the Buffalo Bills, had won the Super Bowl or whatever. But it was just like a big football thing. I'm not into football at all. Yeah. There's no reason for me to be wearing this thing apart from it's their merch. But I wore that thing so much that I would show up to gigs and stuff and it had like holes around the collar and it was just totally like falling apart. And every time I rock up anywhere in it, my friends would be just like, well, how do you think I spotted Doug? And I'm fucking, it almost got to the point where they'd put bets on whether I would show up wearing that shirt, because it was my fucking go-to, yeah. But yeah, band T-shirts, they hold a lot. For me, I don't know about you, Tim, like, do you have like memories with your shirts and shit?
Yeah, so many.
That's why it's pretty important to me. I don't have a lot of band T-shirts anymore, but like, I had like, a Secret Death T-shirt that I had that was a white one with like He-Man on it.
Yeah.
Was it Yeah, I think it was either He-Man or Thor. It was like a general character with some sort of hammer thing.
Some sort of barbarian.
I saw my first Dillinger Escape Plan show wearing that shirt, and when they broke up, I wore that shirt I'd had for like 10 years, and same thing, it was falling apart, and I wore it into the mosh knowing it would get destroyed because I tried crowd surfing and shit, and it did, and I got like a before and after. Yeah, it was like, to me, it's all about the merch.
Served its purpose.
That reminds me, I actually had to retire my old Cog shirt.
Yeah,
the original In Cog We Trust.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, it finally
gave up the ghost.
Yeah, it finally gave up the ghost. It had a good life.
Yeah.
It went everywhere, man.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah.
Did it go on that round Australia DLC tour with you?
I think it did, yeah.
Surely.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it
If there's any tour you're going to wear a Cog shirt on,
it'd probably be that one.
Yeah.
But the question is, do you throw out a worn-out shirt you can't wear in public anymore, or do you keep it and wear it around the house?
I still have bags full of them.
Yeah. I don't keep that many. It sounds like I'm probably halfway. As in, I keep some for they tend to get turned into rags, but I don't keep heaps. And if it's an old band T-shirt, like one that I was really sentimental about, it gets kept. But it gets kind of like turned into like a rag bag type thing. So it's there, but I'm not wearing it. Although home shirts are still like band shirts that are falling apart.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, who am I kidding? Like, if it's got like 4, 5, 6 holes in it, I don't care. Like,
I took my ET shirt.
It's only like if your nipple pops out, it's like, okay, but this is a bit embarrassing.
Yeah. Sorry. I need to clip that back up again.
just put some tape on it, should be right.
My ET shirt, mate, I took it out of rotation because I want to frame it.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with that shit. That's mushy Doug.
$15 good size frames at Kmart.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do that, I think.
Yeah. Kmart, man. Just get really good practical shit.
Custom living.
You fucking shit. On that note.
Yes.
On that note.
Thanks for coming, Jimmy.
No worries.
Jimmy
Thanks for having
Harden,
us. It has been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah. Round of applause, everybody. I'll wait. I'll wait.